Welcome to episode 3 of the Kickback. We're here again. You know, Frankie, myself, the rest of the Soul Bros, all in attendance. And today we're going to kind of discuss the big brand battle, like what's going on with all of the major sneaker brands.
But before we get into that, we need y'all to do two things for us. We need you to smash that like button on this video. And after you finish smashing that like button, we need you to go to that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button so you can subscribe to Soul by Soul's YouTube channel and you can stay up to date with all the content.
Nike's been able to just take in all these star athletes to a point that, you know, their influence is so significant that, you know, that's still gonna drive the market. Nike has all of the things and not just necessarily one area, but such a big portion of the market. And you know, it has the artists and the celebs and just like all across the board. I feel like Nike ends up being like the cool brand to go to. So you do something with Adidas, but you feel like whatever the Adidas collab is not going to be as cool as the Nike thing, or people aren't going to gravitate towards it as much because of the foundation that Nike does have, and, you know, Jordan and like all of those things that are part of it.
I think Nike's strength is that they're just I mean, I heard it. This was a quote that I heard from somewhere else, and I'm probably not quoting it right, but it's just like Nike's best strength, like they're a marketing team that just happens to sell sneakers. Like they're the greatest marketing team in the world, and they just happen to be selling athlete stuff. And so I think for Adidas and all that stuff, like it's not just about like performance and all that stuff. Like sure, like I'm sure Adidas has good stuff, and I've played in some of them in tennis and basketball and all that, but it comes back to just like how you portray yourself as the company, like, right, you know what I mean? So like, but it's also kind of not up to you in a sense, because like the culture and the people kind of decide that. And like obviously Adidas has had its moments. You got like the top 10s, I remember back in the day in like middle school, like you had the shell toes, blah blah blah, like Run DMC all over it, blah
top
blah.
10,
Ultra Boost had their day in the sun, but like at the end of the day, like Nike just doesn't miss as often as Adidas does.
They just have so much more capital to drive it that's why they're that's why they're so much more successful.
But I don't think you can put a price on like cool. Like you can't buy cool. You can't buy.
I think it's social capital. It's not so much like actual money. It's more like what is socially, how do I feel about this? Nike can come out tomorrow with a shoe that looks like throw up, and because their marketing team is so cool and because they have that backing of like we're Nike, people are going to be like, this actually looks pretty cool. Obviously, we've been talking a lot about Nike, and I think it's no contest that Nike's on top. But why is it that they're on top? What makes them the cream of the crop? And is there anybody that can actually compete with them?
Sealing that deal with Jordan, and Jordan eclipsing himself as the greatest basketball player of all time, coinciding with his sneakers that he's wearing, which are Nike branded sneakers, that eclipsed Nike and put them into a different stratosphere that they didn't even understand what would happen with that, you know, when it happened. So I think if that doesn't happen in history, then we're not talking about Nike as the top dog. After watching that doc, Jordan to me is the single factor to why Nike is where they're at right now, because Nike propelled me. They threw me up in the air. I'm 20 feet up. I'm staying there. I get to see more things before anybody else did. And now I'm able to do more in that space because I'm the only one there. So now I can see others. Oh, they're coming up. But I've been up in this space for so long, and I've done so much with it because I have this new clarity. I have this new capital, social capital, marketing, money, all of that jazz, signature athletes, that now, yes, I see you guys. You guys are down there. Keep coming up. But I'm already light years ahead. Nike is king. Will forever be king.
Serge, I don't know. You said some hot stuff there, because I feel like I can't get on board with saying that. So you're basically saying, from what I heard, that Nike is nothing without Jordan, which is, I think,
at this point, yeah, I think again, I would disagree. I didn't have this context before, but after learning what I learned in that Jordan doc and seeing how that all came together, and where Nike was in that listing of sneaker brands before he came on, absolutely, he drove the market to Nike. He drove the market. He's the biggest athlete of all time. 6 rings, never lost at the finals. And again, that doesn't happen if he's a loser, right? If he's not a good basketball player, then that doesn't happen for Nike. But because MJ was so great, that just made a fusion of greatness for both the individual and the sneaker.
I have to disagree, because I would say, yes, was it a perfect storm that Jordan teamed up with Nike and then Nike and Jordan just blowing things up? Sure. But I think, again, going back to Nike just being a great marketing team, right, is what I think makes them great, right? Because they already had great running shoes. They already had that market. Like, they were already building on it. They were kind of branching out. I mean, at that time, they had the trainers that they had John McEnroe wear. That was blowing up. They had all those runners back then. That was blowing up. So, like, they were kind of branching into the basketball market and just trying to see what they can get. They didn't know what Jordan was going to be. And so for me, I think it's disrespectful for the other things that Nike does really well, because I think even if they didn't have Jordan, I think Nike probably most definitely not where they would be right now, but they'd be all right, because they're a great marketing. Because, like, for me, I say this because when a Nike athlete wins a championship, you see they do it up, right? You see all the ads, like LeBron, blah, blah, blah. Like, they do something when someone wins, right? I don't really see it from Adidas when an Adidas athlete wins. Like, when Patrick Mahomes won last year, I didn't really see anything.
Jordan drove this market where now Nike has the capital to put money into other things and other athletes and other sports and all of that, and that can also drive it. But my sole point to this as well is that Michael Jordan, right, being a black athlete, marketing to black people, black kids, right, black culture and hip hop culture, and plenty of examples of when, like, hip hop culture or black people do galvanize into a market and they drive it worldwide and they push it so far. So I think in tune, it's like, okay, MJ does this. We admire MJ. We pick it up. We do our own thing to it. And we continue to drive it.
It's literally only within the last 10 years that Jordan is what it is right now, or 10, 15, right? Because Jordan back then wasn't like it was right now. So I can't necessarily fully agree with you on all that, because Nike didn't know what they had in Jordan. You know what I mean? Like, they knew they had the best player of all time, but the stuff wasn't moving. Like, their shoes weren't really moving. So you can't really say that, like, Nike and all this success came from Jordan, because he wasn't necessarily successful right off the bat. They had other stuff driving at the same time.
I can give all the credit to Jordan, but then I have to give all the credit then back to Nike, because to your point, Serge, Jordan made sneakers cool. In general, he made sneakers cool. So like, I want to get a Jordan sneaker because he made it cool. And then Nike's also pushing out these other sneakers that, you know, typically aren't lifestyle, but I look at an Air Max 1 and I look at an Air Max 90 and I'm like, oh, those are cool too. You know why I think they're cool? Because Jordan's cool and Nike made Jordan cool. So I'm gonna get those. So I like that. That's why I'm agreeing with both of you, because I think that's what Nike's done better than any other brand and why they're at the top. They've made sneakers cool. They've made it cool. Adidas finally picked up on that with the Kanye collaboration, I believe. I mean, yes, when they had Kobe, they were pulling out some really creative sneakers. But once they got Kanye involved, then they figured out the secret sauce of like, oh, this is how you make a sneaker look cool, and this is how the culture can view it and be like, that's cool, I want that. So Adidas has finally figured it out way after Nike figured it out. Nike figured it out ages ago that this is what you got to do to make a sneaker cool. This is how you got to market it. And that's why they've been so successful up until this point with athletes like Jordan, but also Kobe Bryant and LeBron James and Serena and Naomi. Like, they have consistently, to your point, Charles, made it that this athlete is larger than life, and here is what they rock. Yeah. And so, like, oh, that's larger than life. That's so cool. I want that. And so I think that's why Nike is tail above the rest. They've just figured out how to communicate to the culture what is cool.
There was the NMD Ultra Boost wave into the Kanye wave that got Adidas hot again, but you know, still they couldn't go toe to toe with the giant. And just from the earlier points, I will say that when it comes to like Nike and the Jordan piece of it, or Michael Jordan as an athlete and like huge, significant person in sneaker culture, I also do think it's like Nike knew what moves to make. And if you kind of get out of the era that was, you know, the Michael Jordan era, you can also see what Nike has done with that original model, right? So I don't even think it's just the vintage OG stuff they're doing anymore. They've been able to, you know, rinse, wash, repeat, and just bring in so many other talented people to make something kind of different out of the OG. Whatever was releasing in the 80s, like that, there's a whole different landscape now that they're also capitalizing on. So I do think that is, you know, a huge chunk of Nike, a good starting piece, but like they've revolutionized the Jordan aspect of things along with everything else that they have.
Nike needed Jordan and Jordan needed Nike. It was a match made. Thanks for watching this latest edition of Kickback. Let us know what you thought in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like this video, and please don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on everything that we're doing here at Soul by Soul. We'll come back with another video for y'all soon.